Welcome to the AC 24/7 Top Story Countdown. We'll guide you through the biggest news of the day. Our focus, advocating our rights, advocating health, and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 3.
Bring back a lot of good memories.
Michael Oher. First, he was a homeless kid who experienced poverty.
The goal was to feed him.
But later, Oher became an American football star whose life story inspired the best-selling book and film, The Blind Side, earning a Best Picture nomination in 2009 and the Academy Award for Sandra Bullock as Best Actress. But now Oher's life story has taken a different turn. In a Tennessee court, the former football player has filed a petition to end Sean and Leanne Tuohy's conservatorship over him.
He became part of our lives.
Right after he turned 18, Oher moved in with the Tuohys. In the lawsuit, Oher claims the Tuohys told him they were going to adopt him, but instead filed a conservatorship which kept millions of dollars from him. The former NFL player is asking the Tuohys, quote, show cause for failure to meet their required duties to provide regular accountings or to act in his best interest. According to the court petition, Oher claims they gave him legal papers he thought were necessary for the adoption. What he signed, however, and unknown to Oher until after February 2023, were not adoption papers. Instead, the petition says the papers appointed Sean and Leanne Tuohy as his conservators with, quote, total control over Michael Oher's ability to negotiate for or enter any contract, despite the fact he was over 18 years of age and had no diagnosed physical or psychological disabilities. Oher claims the Tuohys falsely advised him that the adoption would have to be called a conservatorship since he was over 18. But according to the petition in 2006, the Tuohys, representing themselves as the adoptive parents, negotiated contracts for the movie The Blind Side.
Okay, big smile, Tuohy family.
The movie has reportedly grossed more than $330 million. The petition also states that another contract from April 2007 gave away Oher's name, likeness, voice to the movie studio, quote, without any payment whatsoever. Oher claims he, quote, at no time ever willingly or knowingly signed such a document. The petition is asking the Tuohys to provide a sworn accounting of the money belonging to Oher that he says should have been paid to him. But Sean Tuohy told a Tennessee newspaper that his family is devastated. It's upsetting to think we would make money off any of our children, but we're going to love Michael at 37 just like we loved him at 16.
Like the Advocate channel on Facebook for the best way to get updates on stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
It's a scene one might expect in an authoritarian country, not in the heartland of a nation where freedom of the press is a hallmark of its liberty. On Friday in Marion, Kansas, police raided the Marion County Record, circulation 4,000. They seized computers, cell phones, and other materials, including the newspaper's file server, according to publisher and co-owner Eric Meyer. Eric Meyer's home, and the home of the paper's co-owner, his 98-year-old mother, Joan, was also raided, and her computer and other belongings were seized. Eric says the stress, shock, and grief contributed to his mother's death on Saturday. Eric Meyer believes the raid was retribution for a story he published about being kicked out of a public event for a Republican member of Congress hosted by local business owner Carrie Newell. Carrie Newell says she did so because she didn't trust the paper's reporting. Meyer claims after he and his reporter Phyllis Zorn were kicked out, Zorn got a tip about Carrie Newell, alleging driving without a valid license after a DUI in 2008. They did not publish the story, but their offices were raided anyway, alarming freedom of the press advocates, including Emily Bradbury of the Kansas Press Association.
It is really hard to believe that this is not a retaliatory measure for something.
Carrie Newell says the paper unlawfully used her credentials to get private information about her. The reporter, Zorn, says the information came from a source, and when she verified its authenticity, she did so under her own name. The Marion Police Department, with help from the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, executed the search warrant, alleging violations of identity theft of Newell and unlawful acts concerning computers. A warrant was signed by a county judge. Such raids are normally a very rare occurrence in the U.S., given free press protection spelled out in the Bill of Rights and the Privacy Protection Act of 1980, which protects journalists from search and seizures, requiring a subpoena.
The proper protocol would have been to use subpoena power to get any information that they were looking for. We have not seen a subpoena. There was never a subpoena filed for the information, any sort of information that they were looking for, to our knowledge.
In this case, the Marion County Police Chief Gideon Cody says there are exceptions, such as, quote, when there is a reason to believe the journalist is taking part in underlying wrongdoing, unquote. The Marion County Record denies any wrongdoing.
It's very difficult to ascertain whether or not this is violative of the law, the Privacy Protection Act, or whether the circumstances fall into one of the very, very limited exceptions.
Dozens of news organizations across the country, including CNN, are condemning the raid. The Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press sent a letter to Police Chief Cody saying newsroom searches and seizures are among the most intrusive actions law enforcement can take with respect to the free press, and the most potentially suppressive of free speech by the press and the public.
Follow the Advocate Channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. Here's our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
A Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment.
The 98-page indictment lists 41 felony counts against former President Trump and 18 co-defendants to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election results, accusing them of, quote, unlawfully conspired and endeavored to conduct and participate in a criminal enterprise. Trump charged with 13 counts in the indictment.
Every individual charged in the indictment is charged with 1 count of violating Georgia's Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act through participation in a criminal enterprise in Fulton County, Georgia, and elsewhere to accomplish the illegal goal of allowing Donald J. Trump to seize the presidential term of office beginning on January 20th, 21.
The indictment also included an additional 30 unindicted co-conspirators, in addition to the charged defendants. In a statement, Trump's attorneys calling the grand jury presentation, quote, one-sided, and the events of Monday, quote, shocking and absurd. Ohio Rep. Jim Jordan, a Trump ally, tweeting out, he did nothing wrong. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy saying, justice should be blind, but Biden has weaponized government against his leading political opponent to interfere in the 2024 election.
But it was a very intense meeting.
Jeff Duncan, CNN contributor and former Georgia lieutenant governor, on his testimony before an Atlanta grand jury.
I can tell you that there was the highest level of attention in that room from folks with the district attorney's office through the jurors. It was just an extremely intense period of time, and everybody was prepared.
The indictment stemmed from a 2.5-year criminal investigation into Trump's alleged interference in the 2020 Georgia presidential election, including his call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
To the fake electors who convened to cast illegitimate votes for Trump, the investigation also accuses multiple defendants of harassment of election workers and a voting systems breach in rural Coffee County.
I want to try him and be respectful for our sovereign states.
And while Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis says she intends to try the 19 defendants together, it's up to the judge on when the trial will proceed.
We do want to move this case along, and so we will be asking for a proposed order that occurs a trial date within the next 6 months.
Thanks for watching the Advocate Channel's top stories. We're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Follow, like, and share, or check out advocatechannel.com for even more stories that advocate for you.